Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking. This is a short but urgent video to update you on the World Health Organization's pandemic treaty, which is due to be signed in May 2024. That doesn't give us a lot of time, and in effect that means that our health sovereignty will be signed away. It's a treaty involving 190 countries in which all future pandemics, and pandemics can be classified or defined in many different ways, not just infectious diseases. You can get pandemics of heart disease, pandemics of cancer as well. So the definition can be very broad, but in effect it means that if a pandemic is declared, the World Health Organization takes over its management and pulls rank over the decisions of sovereign governments. In other words, health sovereignty is completely surrendered to an international globalist organization called the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization is determined to bring this in by the month of May 2024. As recently as 3 weeks ago, the second meeting took place. The first meeting occurred before Christmas, in which a time frame was put in place. The second meeting concerned areas such as the likely wording of the treaty. So in other words, it's getting close. In other words, a set of words will be produced. It will be approved by all 190 countries unless there is opposition to that. And a legally binding treaty will be brought in. The EU in particular is very much in favour of a legally binding treaty, and Ireland as part of the EU is compliant. We're rowing in without any form of due diligence, without any form of questioning, without any form of reading to find out what is the downside of this. And the World Health Organization will steamroll this treaty through unless there is worldwide opposition to it. The World Health Organization was set up about 1948 and generally concerned itself with issues that had little impact in the world in which we live. For example, things like malaria, Ebola, generally in the developing world. And contributions were given to the World Health Organization by sovereign governments, and generally they were considered to be doing a good job. But of late, private contributors have contributed to the World Health Organization, and the agenda of the World Health Organization has radically changed. For example, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation contributes somewhere in the region of almost 12% of the entire budget of the World Health Organization. Its budget is about 7.8 billion. Prior to that, the businessman George Soros contributed substantially to the World Health Organization. So increasingly over the last 10 years or so, more and more of the World Health Organization has been funded by private individuals. In my experience, private individuals generally come with private agendas. The agendas are not always declared. But the focus of the World Health Organization has now changed hugely from areas of the world that were developing right to areas of the world where we live, where sovereign governments ought to deal with health, a health of sovereign people, where departments of health and their various agencies cause health-related matters to happen on our various countries. But now the World Health Organization is taking all of this over, and a treaty will copper fasten that, and effective control of individual governments will be completely removed. This is very serious because the World Health Organization will decide what a pandemic is. The World Health Organization will decide how to treat that pandemic, what drugs to use to the exclusion of other drugs. Have we not seen that with the immunizations versus ivermectin regarding COVID? In other words, you can have a single particular agenda, a one-size-fits-all for all countries, even though health varies and ill health totally varies between countries. But yet you're having a pandemic treaty which will lead to a one-size-fits-all solution to all people's health. That doesn't work. It doesn't work from a public health point of view. It doesn't work from any health point of view. But I just wonder, does it work from a vested interest and a financial point of view? We need to be very careful. We need to be very vigilant. And that's the purpose of this update. This international pandemic treaty must be stopped at all cost, and our country needs to wake up, and our country needs to express reservation about it rather than in a compliant, sleepwalking way walk into this situation where our sovereignty in matters of health is completely and utterly and totally handed over to a global power of which we have no control and no influence, and is substantially controlled by private investors as opposed to sovereign governments. So I would say again, we all need to wake up. Thank you very much for listening.